The Grand Hall of the Galactic Alliance gleamed with opulence, a testament to centuries of cooperation between the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. Massive crystalline chandeliers floated mid-air, their luminescence powered by quantum fields. The circular seating arrangement allowed for equal visibility of the central dais, where the High Chancellor presided over the annual gathering. Representatives of over 50 species filled the chamber, each adorned in ceremonial attire that reflected their cultural pride and technological prowess. This year's summit was meant to be routine, a celebration of shared progress and a review of intergalactic policies. However, the atmosphere was tense. On the fringes of Alliance space, border disputes with the Zarkath Empire had escalated. The Zarkath, a militaristic species with a reputation for conquest, had been amassing forces near a contested sector. Whispers of war filled the corridors, though the Alliance publicly maintained its commitment to diplomacy. The High Chancellor, a towering insectoid from the Krathuan species, called the assembly to order with a resonating click of her mandibles. Delegates, we gather to reaffirm our unity in the face of uncertainty. The strength of the Alliance lies in its diversity. Let us not falter. As discussions unfolded, holographic projections detailed potential strategies for handling the Zarkath threat. The Draxian delegate, a reptilian warrior encased in gleaming armor, advocated for a preemptive strike. The Amerindi, a peaceful aquatic species, countered with a plea for extended negotiations. The debates were intense but civil, showcasing the Alliance's commitment to collective decision-making. Amidst the grandeur and heated exchanges, the human delegation sat quietly at the periphery. They were a recent addition to the Alliance, having joined just 5 years prior. Compared to the dominant powers, the Draxians, Amerindi, and Krathuan, humanity was seen as a minor player. Their technology, while innovative, lacked the scale and refinement of older civilizations. To many, humans were an oddity, a species of dreamers and risk-takers with little to offer in military conflicts. The lead human representative, Commander Alara Voss, observed the proceedings with an air of quiet confidence. Her uniform was unadorned, contrasting sharply with the elaborate regalia around her. Beside her sat 2 advisors, Captain Malik Wren and Dr. Lena Hart, who exchanged whispered updates on their datapads. The discussion was abruptly interrupted by a high-pitched alarm. A holographic display materialized in the center of the hall, showing an emergency transmission. An AI voice, calm yet urgent, addressed the assembly. Attention, High Chancellor. An unidentified fleet has entered Sector 14. Initial scans indicate its size is minimal, approximately 1/10 the capacity of a standard Alliance task force. No immediate threat is detected, though its trajectory suggests an approach toward the contested zone. The room erupted into murmurs. The Draxian delegate rose, his forked tongue flickering. A pitiful display. Likely a scavenger fleet or rogue traders, hardly worth our concern. The Amerindi representative, her translucent blue skin shimmering, expressed caution. Even small disruptions can destabilize a fragile situation. We must investigate. As delegates argued, additional data streamed onto the holographic display. Ship configurations were analyzed, revealing a surprising detail: the fleet was human. The Draxian delegate burst into laughter, a guttural sound that echoed through the chamber. Humans? Surely this is a jest. They send their tiny toys to face the Zarkath? His mockery ignited a wave of derision. Representatives of various species joined in, some openly laughing, others smirking at humanity's perceived arrogance. The Zarnathi, a bird-like species known for their sharp wit, added, perhaps they seek to negotiate with their charm. Their weapons certainly won't suffice. Alara Voss remained composed, though her advisors shifted uncomfortably. Captain Wren leaned toward her. Should we respond, Commander? This is getting out of hand. Alara's eyes were fixed on the display, her expression unreadable. Not yet. Let them speak. The High Chancellor, sensing the growing disrespect, raised her mandibles for silence. Delegates, mockery has no place in this hall. Humanity's intentions are unclear, but it is their right as members of this alliance to act as they see fit. The room quieted, though the undercurrent of ridicule persisted. The Krathuan leader addressed Alara directly. Commander Voss, would you care to explain your fleet's purpose? The Alliance is entitled to transparency in matters that may affect its security. Alara stood, her movements deliberate and unhurried. Her voice, calm and measured, carried across the hall. High Chancellor, esteemed delegates, the Human Federation recognizes the delicacy of the current situation. Our fleet's presence in Sector 14 is a precautionary measure. We seek to observe and, if necessary, protect Alliance interests. Protect? The Draxian delegate sneered. With what? Your ships are barely more than cargo haulers compared to our warships. A ripple of amusement spread through the room. Alara's gaze remained steady. Underestimating an ally's capabilities is a dangerous habit, Ambassador Thrax. Humanity's fleet is not as tiny as it appears. We are prepared to fulfill our responsibilities to the Alliance. Her words, though calm, carried a quiet defiance. The room fell into an uneasy silence. The delegates were unaccustomed to such confidence from humanity, a species they had long dismissed as insignificant. The High Chancellor nodded, her multifaceted eyes glinting. Thank you, Commander Voss. The Alliance will monitor the situation closely. Let us hope your actions do not provoke unnecessary conflict. Alara returned to her seat, her demeanor unshaken. Captain Wren leaned closer. That could have gone worse. Dr. Hart smirked. They'll change their tune soon enough. As the assembly moved on, the human delegation prepared for what they knew was inevitable. The tiny fleet would soon face its first test, and the galaxy's laughter would be replaced with something far more profound, awe. The void of Sector 14 was silent, as always a vast expanse of cold, empty space illuminated by the faint glow of distant stars. The sector bordered the contested zone between the Galactic Alliance and the Zarkath Empire, a region marked by decades of skirmishes and territorial disputes. In the distance, the hulking silhouettes of Zarkath warships loomed, their sheer size a testament to the Empire's dominance. They glided forward with mechanical precision, their dark, spiked hulls absorbing light like black holes, projecting an aura of dread. And then, from the opposite end of the sector, the human fleet emerged. It was an unassuming sight, just a dozen ships, their forms starkly different from the massive, ornate vessels of other galactic powers. The human ships were compact, almost utilitarian in design. Their hulls, matte black with faint glowing seams, suggested function over form. They lacked the ostentatious embellishments common among Alliance and Zarkath vessels. To the untrained eye, they looked like civilian craft, barely equipped to handle a minor skirmish, let alone confront a Zarkath warfleet. The Zarkath fleet commander, a towering figure encased in biometal armor, watched from the bridge of his flagship. His name was Varan Tak, a veteran of countless campaigns. His 4 crimson eyes scanned the incoming human fleet with a mixture of curiosity and contempt. Is this what the Alliance sends to defend their borders? A flotilla of scrap metal? His voice reverberated through the command chamber, eliciting a chorus of guttural laughter from his crew. Thak gestured to his tactical officer, a subordinate with an array of cybernetic enhancements. Run a scan on their weapon systems. I want to know if these insects even warrant my attention. The officer obeyed, and within moments, data streamed across the holographic display. The results were baffling. The human ships had no visible heavy armaments. Their energy signatures were faint, barely registering as military grade. It seemed as though the humans had sent unarmed science vessels into a potential war zone. Pathetic, Thak snarled. Prepare the fleet. We'll swat these flies and send their wreckage back to the Alliance as a warning. Meanwhile, aboard the human flagship Aegis, Commander Alara Voss stood on the bridge, her hands clasped behind her back. The ship was alive with controlled activity, her crew working silently at their stations. Unlike the chaotic grandeur of Zarkath vessels, the Aegis was a study in minimalism. Its command center was compact but efficient, every console and screen designed for maximum utility. Commander Captain Malik Wren reported, his voice steady despite the tension. Zarkath fleet detected. 18 vessels, including their flagship. All scanning us. They're not taking us seriously. Alara allowed herself a small smile. Good. That's exactly what we need. At the tactical console, Lieutenant Arya Chen monitored the enemy's movements. They're forming an attack formation. It looks like they're preparing to fire. Let them, Alara replied calmly. Activate ECM protocols. Scramble their targeting systems. The Aegis emitted a burst of electromagnetic interference, a move designed to disrupt the Zarkath fleet's sensors. To an outsider, it seemed like a defensive gesture, a desperate attempt to shield the human fleet from the inevitable onslaught. In reality, it was the first step in a meticulously planned strategy. Alara, Dr. Lena Hart interjected from the science station. Their scans show they still haven't figured out our modifications. They're reading us as non-threatening. Perfect, Alara said. She turned to her crew. Prepare for Phase 1. Maintain formation. We'll show them what tiny really means. The Zarkath flagship shuddered as its targeting systems flickered and rebooted. Varanthak growled in frustration, his claws clenching the edges of his command chair. What is this? Are they jamming us? Primitive tricks. His tactical officer struggled to recalibrate. Commander, their signal disruption is more advanced than expected. It's interfering with our weapon locks. Thak slammed his fist against the console. No matter. They can't hide from our sheer firepower. Order all ships to fire blind. Saturation attack. Destroy everything in their path. The Zarkath fleet unleashed a barrage of plasma bolts and railgun slugs, the weapons streaking across the void in a dazzling display of destructive energy. The human fleet seemed helpless, their small ships dwarfed by the incoming onslaught. But then, something remarkable happened. The human ships began to move not erratically, as one might expect from a fleet under heavy fire, but with precision and purpose. They executed maneuvers that defied the norms of space combat, weaving through the incoming projectiles with uncanny accuracy. Their compact size, once a subject of ridicule, now proved to be their greatest asset. They were nimble, unpredictable, and impossibly fast. On the Aegis, Lieutenant Chen called out updates. Enemy fire is missing. Their shots are too scattered to hit us. Captain Wren grinned. Let them waste their ammo. They're not used to fighting a fleet that doesn't play by their rules. Alara remained focused. Phase 2. Deploy the drones. From each human ship, dozens of small, disc-shaped drones launched into the void. These autonomous units were equipped with advanced AI, designed for electronic warfare and tactical disruption. They swarmed the Zarkath vessels, latching onto their hulls and emitting bursts of EMP energy. Systems flickered and failed across the enemy fleet as the drones targeted critical subsystems. On the Zarkath flagship, chaos erupted. Lights dimmed, and consoles sparked as systems went offline. Varanthak roared in fury. What are they doing? How are they crippling us without firing a single shot? The tactical officer, his voice panicked, replied, Their drones are overriding our defenses. Our engines are down on 3 ships and we're losing control of the fleet. Back on the Aegis, the crew watched as their plan unfolded perfectly. The once mighty Zarkath fleet was in disarray, its movements erratic and uncoordinated. The human ships maintained their formation, darting between the larger vessels with surgical precision. Phase 3, Alara commanded. Target their flagship. The Aegis and 2 other human ships surged forward, closing the distance between themselves and the Zarkath flagship. Their compact weapon systems, which had appeared insignificant on scans, activated. These were high-yield particle cannons, designed for pinpoint strikes. The human ships fired in unison, their beams piercing the flagship's shields and striking its main power core. On the Zarkath bridge, alarms blared as explosions rocked the ship. Varanthak clutched his command chair, his once confident demeanor replaced by desperation. Retreat. Order all ships to fall back. The Zarkath fleet began to withdraw, their flagship trailing smoke and debris. The human fleet held its position, watching as their enemies fled. The battle was over. Alara Voss stood on the bridge of the Aegis, her gaze fixed on the retreating Zarkath ships. Captain Wren approached, a look of admiration on his face. They'll think twice before underestimating us again. Alara allowed herself a small smile. Let them mock us. By the time they realize their mistake, it'll be too late. As the human fleet regrouped, the galaxy was about to learn a powerful lesson. Size didn't matter when strategy, innovation, and courage were on humanity's side. The aftermath of the battle in Sector 14 spread like wildfire across the galaxy. News streams buzzed with reports of the human fleet's improbable victory. Footage from the encounter, captured by long-range Alliance observation satellites, showed the Zarkath flagship limping away, trailed by a fleet once thought invincible. Speculation ran rampant, but one sentiment dominated the headlines: how had such a tiny fleet defeated the galaxy's most feared armada? In the halls of the Galactic Alliance, reactions ranged from disbelief to begrudging admiration. Delegates who had mocked humanity just hours before were now forced to reassess their assumptions. The Draxian representative, Ambassador Thrax, growled at the reports, his pride wounded. Trickery, he hissed to no one in particular. Humans are nothing without their deceit. Others were more open-minded. The Emerendi representative, her translucent blue eyes shimmering, studied the battle footage with fascination. Their ships moved as if alive. Such coordination, such precision. There is more to these humans than we assumed. At the center of the commotion, Commander Alara Voss and her team aboard the Aegis prepared for the next phase of their mission. Victory was only the beginning. The Aegis and its accompanying ships regrouped at a secured Alliance outpost in Sector 14. The fleet docked for repairs, though their vessels had sustained minimal damage, a testament to their evasive strategies and defensive capabilities. On the Aegis, the command team gathered in the war room, a compact space dominated by a holographic tactical display. Alara stood at the head of the table, her usual calm presence commanding the room. "Let's review," she began, her voice steady but firm. "Dr. Hart, an analysis of the Zarkath fleet's response?" Dr. Lena Hart, the team's chief scientist, gestured at the holographic display, which projected a detailed breakdown of the battle. Their reliance on overwhelming firepower was their downfall. They didn't adapt to our tactics, nor did they anticipate the effectiveness of our drones. Their systems were outdated in terms of counter-electronic measures. Captain Malik Wren leaned forward, a smirk on his face. In other words, they were blind and clumsy. We ran circles around them. Alara shot him a look. Let's not underestimate them. This was one engagement. The Zarkath are resilient, and they'll adapt. We need to be ready for their next move. Lieutenant Arya Chen, the fleet's tactical officer, nodded. Their retreat may have been tactical. They'll analyze our capabilities and prepare a counter-strategy. Alara agreed. Which is why we can't afford to rest. Our mission is far from over. Phase 3 requires us to hold this sector until reinforcements arrive. Unbeknownst to the humans, the Zarkath fleet was already regrouping. Aboard their damaged flagship, Varandak seethed with rage. The humiliation of their defeat burned in his chest. The humans had done more than dent his fleet, they had tarnished his reputation. For a Zarkath commander, reputation was everything. In the dim glow of his war room, Thak addressed his senior officers. These humans are cunning, but they are still prey. Their victory was a fluke, nothing more. We will show them the might of the Zarkath Empire. His tactical officer, still reeling from the previous engagement, hesitated. Commander, their technology, it was unlike anything we've encountered. Their ship's agility, their drones. Thak slammed his clawed hand onto the table, silencing him. Technology is meaningless without the will to wield it. Prepare the fleet. This time we will not underestimate them. The Zarkath strategy was simple: overwhelm the humans with sheer numbers. Reinforcements arrived, a fleet of 30 warships, each armed with enhanced counter-electronic systems. They moved swiftly, determined to reclaim their dominance. Back aboard the Aegis, the crew prepared for the inevitable. Alliance intelligence had detected the Zarkath reinforcements, and it was only a matter of time before they struck. Alara convened her team for a final briefing. Our small size was an advantage last time, she began, but this new fleet won't make the same mistakes. They'll be prepared for our drones, and their numbers alone pose a significant threat. Captain Wren crossed his arms. So what's the plan, Commander? We can't outgun them, and we can't outrun them forever. Alara smiled faintly. We don't need to outgun them. We just need to outthink them. Dr. Hart stepped forward, holding a data pad. We've developed a new tactic based on their fleet's predictable formation patterns. It's risky, but if executed correctly, it could neutralize their numerical advantage. The plan was daring: use the human fleet's compact size and agility to draw the Zarkath into a tightly confined area, a nearby asteroid field known for its dense, shifting debris. Once inside, the humans would exploit the environment to outmaneuver the larger Zarkath ships while deploying a new type of drone equipped with experimental gravimetric disruptors. These drones wouldn't just disable systems, they would destabilize the Zarkath ship's structural integrity, forcing them to retreat or face destruction. Timing will be everything, Alara concluded. One mistake, and we'll be surrounded. The Zarkath fleet arrived with overwhelming force, their warships blotting out the stars as they approached. Thax stood on his bridge, his confidence restored. Humans, he growled, prepare to be annihilated. The human fleet responded by scattering, their small ships darting away like insects. The Zarkath, emboldened, pursued them into the asteroid field, eager to crush their prey. As the larger ships entered the field, their size became a liability. The dense debris made navigation treacherous, and their attempts to maneuver only caused collisions and damage. Meanwhile, the human ships moved with ease, using the asteroids as cover to evade enemy fire. Then came the drones. Dozens of them swarmed the Zarkath fleet, deploying their gravimetric disruptors. The effects were immediate: hulls buckled, engines sputtered, and entire ships were immobilized as the disruptors wreaked havoc on their structural integrity. Thak watched in horror as his fleet fell apart. Retreat. He bellowed, but it was too late. The asteroid field, once a mere obstacle, had become a death trap. When the dust settled, the Zarkath fleet was in ruins. The human ships emerged from the asteroid field, virtually unscathed. The message was clear: humanity was not to be underestimated. Back at the Alliance, the response was immediate. The High Chancellor herself addressed the assembly, her voice filled with uncharacteristic admiration. Humanity has proven that innovation and strategy can overcome even the greatest odds. They are not a minor power, they are a force to be reckoned with. The once mocking delegates now spoke of alliances and collaborations. Humanity's tiny fleet had changed the balance of power in the galaxy, earning not just respect but a place among the stars as equals. For Commander Alara Voss and her crew, the victory was more than strategic, it was a statement of humanity's resilience and ingenuity, a promise that they would never be overlooked again. The aftermath of the Second Battle in Sector 14 marked a turning point for humanity's role in the galaxy. The Zarkath fleet's crushing defeat in the asteroid field reverberated through the Galactic Alliance and beyond, altering the dynamics of power and perception across the stars. For humanity, this was more than a military victory, it was an announcement that they were no longer mere participants but vital players in the galactic stage. Aboard the Aegis, the crew gathered in the common area, a compact but inviting space illuminated by soft, ambient lighting. Commander Alara Voss had ordered the gathering as a rare moment of reprieve. The atmosphere was one of cautious celebration. They had won against staggering odds, and yet the weight of their mission lingered in the air. Captain Malik Wren raised a metal tumbler filled with reconstituted whiskey. To the Aegis, the fleet, and Commander Voss. She led us through hell and back. A round of cheers erupted, though the exhaustion in their voices was evident. Lieutenant Arya Chen smirked as she leaned back in her chair. Let's not get too comfortable. You know the Zarkath aren't going to take this lying down. Dr. Lena Hart, ever the pragmatist, added, true. But for now, we should appreciate what we've achieved. No one thought this fleet had a chance, not even the Alliance. Alara, standing near the door with a cup of tea in hand, listened quietly. Her crew deserved this moment of camaraderie. She gave them a nod and a rare smile. Enjoy it while it lasts. We'll debrief tomorrow. Her words were met with laughter, but the undercurrent of respect was palpable. Her leadership had brought them through impossible odds, and they trusted her implicitly. The next day, a message arrived from the Galactic Alliance High Chancellor herself. The encrypted transmission was broadcast to every ship in the fleet, and the crew gathered to watch. The holographic image of the High Chancellor, a towering Krathuan with gleaming exoskeleton plates, appeared in the air. Her voice resonated with gravity and admiration. Commander Alara Voss and the human fleet, on behalf of the Galactic Alliance, I extend my deepest gratitude and congratulations. Your actions in Sector 14 have not only safeguarded our borders but also demonstrated the ingenuity and resilience that humanity brings to this council. You have earned the respect of every species in this alliance. The crew erupted into cheers. Even Alara, who typically maintained her composure, felt a swell of pride. Yet beneath the celebration, she couldn't shake the knowledge that the Zarkath were not defeated, they were merely wounded. In the shadowy depths of Zarkath space, Commander Varan Thak faced the fallout of his second defeat. Stripped of his rank and humiliated before his peers, he seethed with rage. The Zarkath Council of Warlords, a circle of elder commanders who ruled the Empire, deliberated his fate. This humiliation cannot go unanswered, growled one of the warlords, his voice deep and guttural. The humans have exposed a weakness in our strategy. We must adapt. Another warlord, her crimson eyes glowing, countered, or perhaps we must consider an alternative. The humans have demonstrated strength we can use. Perhaps they are better as allies than enemies. Thak snarled, allies? They are vermin. I will crush them with my bare hands before I allow such an insult. The warlords exchanged glances, their decision uncertain. For now, the Zarkath Empire retreated into the shadows, leaving the galaxy to wonder whether their next move would be vengeance or diplomacy. Weeks later, the annual Galactic Alliance Summit reconvened, this time with humanity at its center. Alara Voss and her team were invited to stand before the Assembly, a rare honor for a member species. The High Chancellor opened the proceedings. Delegates of the Alliance, we gather today not to deliberate on policy, but to recognize the courage and innovation of one of our own. Humanity has proven that size and resources are not the sole measures of strength. Their victory in Sector 14 has reshaped our understanding of what it means to be a part of this alliance. Alara stepped forward, her uniform pristine. The room, once filled with mocking laughter, now regarded her with quiet respect. She addressed the assembly with measured words. We didn't fight for glory or recognition. We fought because we believed in the ideals of this alliance: unity, cooperation, and the protection of all its members. Humanity may be small, but we are resourceful, and we stand ready to face any challenge, not alone, but as part of this greater whole. Her speech was met with thunderous applause. Even the Draxian representative, though clearly reluctant, offered a curt nod of approval. The Emerindi delegate smiled warmly, her approval genuine. Humanity's place in the alliance was no longer in question. As the summit adjourned, Alara returned to the Aegis, where her crew awaited her. They had watched the proceedings from the ship and greeted her with a mixture of pride and relief. "What now, Commander?" Captain Wren asked, leaning casually against a console. Alara looked out the viewport at the stars beyond. "Now we prepare. The Zarkath aren't done, and neither are we. But for the first time, we're not standing in the shadows. The galaxy knows who we are." Dr. Hart chimed in, "And they'll think twice before underestimating us again." Alara smiled faintly. "Exactly." The human fleet, once dismissed as insignificant, now symbolized the power of innovation, determination, and unity. As they set course for their next mission, the crew of the Aegis knew they had not only defended humanity's place in the galaxy but secured its future among the stars.